Hello, today we're going to be making a model that helps us explain why the moon appears to change shape over time. Okay. So hopefully you guys have sketched out what we see on this piece of paper right here onto a piece of notebook paper onto the next page in your notebook. Before we start filling this in, I want to go over just a couple important things that you've already created in your model. So the first one is the location of the sun, okay? I picked the sun to go over here, but I want you guys to keep in mind that the Earth orbits the sun over time, okay? So it does this. And so I picked to draw my model with the Earth over here, but realistically, you could put the sun in any position next to the Earth, but then your model would change based on those positions. Okay, so you could draw your model of moon phases with the Earth over here and the sun over here, okay, and then the moon going around it. You could draw it with the sun above the Earth and the moon going around it, okay. What's really important is that we just pay attention to where the sunlight is coming from, and then we have our model reflect that. All right, so another thing that I want you guys to notice is that we have the Earth here in the middle, the sun's over here, and then we have a lot of other circles going around. Now, these other circles represent the moon and how its position changes over the course of 1 month, or about 28 days. So this inner circle of the moon's orbit is going to represent what we would see from space. So if you were on Earth and you got into a spaceship and you went directly up, and then you were to look down at the sun, Earth, moon system, this is what you would see happen over the course of 28 days. You would see the moon orbit the Earth, okay? And in that time, the Earth would also move a little bit, but we're going to try and simplify this model so that it can specifically explain how moon phases are seen. Okay, so this is what it would look like from space. These circles out here correspond or are related to one of these positions of the moon as it orbits the Earth. These ones are going to show us what we see from Earth. So what it looks like from Earth. Okay, so this inner ring shows the moon from space. The outer ring shows the moon as it appears from Earth. Okay. All right. So the next thing that we want to do is we want to draw on all of these moons, all the different positions of the moon, what it would look like from space. So we're going to think about where the sun is. Okay, and I already have a line drawn to divide the moon in half. We know that half of the moon is always illuminated as it goes around the Earth. So the half that is toward the sun, so this half, we're going to take our yellow highlighter, we're going to color that in yellow. Okay, it's illuminated by the sun. The half that is pointed away from the sun is going to be the dark half. Right. And then we're going to move on to each of these moons, and we're going to do the same thing. The half that is pointed toward the sun is going to be yellow. So on all of these, the half that's pointed toward the sun, we're going to color in. And then the half that is oriented away from the sun is darker. Okay, so this is what the moon would look like from space throughout the duration of about 28 days. All right, now that is not what we see the moon to look like over the course of a month. From Earth, it appears to change shape. It looks like there's just a little bit of the moon showing, a small crescent, and then it grows over time. It gets all the way to a full moon, and then it starts to shrink back up again. And so we're gonna draw in our model what it looks like from Earth as time goes on. And this is where your sticky note or your note card is gonna come in handy, because we're gonna cover up the half of the moon that is facing away from the Earth so that we can get a picture as to what we would see from Earth. Because there's only one half of the moon that is facing the Earth at any point in time. Okay, so we're gonna start with the first phase, which is right here. I'm gonna cover up the half of the moon that is facing away from the Earth. So let's pretend you are standing right here. You're looking up into the sky. What portion of the illuminated half can you see from Earth? If you're standing right here, you're looking up, you can't see any of the illuminated portion. So you can't see any of the yellow part on this Earth. So when the moon is in this position, this is called a new moon, and we cannot see any of the illuminated half. So from Earth, it appears to be totally dark. And that's our new moon. Okay, now the moon is going to start growing. It's going to start appearing, right? The illuminated portion is going to start appearing. So we're going to take our sticky note, and I'm going to cover up the half of the Earth, or the half of the moon, I'm sorry, that's facing away from the Earth. All right. Now, what I've found to be the easiest way to see what we would see from Earth is to actually move your piece of paper, picture yourself standing here on the Earth, okay, looking up into the sky. And now I see less than half of the illuminated portion. So it's mostly dark. I can see most of the dark half, and I can see a little tiny bit of the illuminated half, okay? And that little tiny bit is on the right-hand side. So from Earth, in my picture here, I'm going to draw a little bit of the illuminated half on the right-hand side. I'm going to draw a crescent. And then the rest is dark. And so from Earth, your moon is going to look like this. It looks like a crescent. We're going to call this a waxing crescent. Waxing means that it's increasing in size. It's getting larger. Okay. The third phase, we're going to take our sticky note, we're going to move it over, and we're going to cover the half of the Earth, half of the moon that is facing away from the Earth. And I'm going to take my piece of paper, I'm going to rotate it, I'm going to picture myself standing right here on the Earth, looking up into the sky, and I see that the right half of the moon is illuminated, the left half is dark. So on my picture here, I'm going to remember that the right half of the moon is illuminated. And the dark half is filled in. Okay, it's the first quarter, or lots of people call it a half moon. Okay. All right, moving on. Now I take my sticky note, move it over here. I cover up the part that's facing away from the Earth. Turn my little model. I'm picturing myself standing on the Earth, looking up into the sky. And I see that most of it is illuminated, but there's a small little bit on the left-hand side that's dark. So when I'm filling out my model, I'm going to draw a small little portion on the left-hand side that is dark. And the rest is illuminated. This is what the moon would look like from Earth. This is called a gibbous. It is a waxing gibbous. Okay, it's getting bigger. And then moving on to the next phase, cover up the half that's facing away from the earth. We're gonna rotate our picture. We're thinking of ourselves. I'm drawing a little stick figure there. Looking up at the moon, we can see the entire illuminated half of the moon. And so at this point in the moon's revolution around the earth, we're seeing a full moon. We can see the entire illuminated half. So from Earth, it looks like the whole moon is illuminated. And this is called a full moon. All right, the next position. Okay, I'm looking at it from where I would be standing on Earth, looking up to the sky. I see that it is a small portion on the right-hand side that is dark, and most of it is illuminated. Small portion on the left-hand side that's dark. The rest is illuminated. If you guys feel like I'm going too fast, feel free to hit the pause button to make sure that you're all caught up. Okay, this one is also a gibbous. It's more than half full, but now we're going to add in a new vocabulary word called waning. It is a waning gibbous. Okay, so now it's going from full, and it's going to get smaller as we go this direction. These on the top are a lot easier to do because you don't have to flip your page over. Okay, you're already looking at it from Earth's perspective. All right, so this one covering up the half that is facing away from the moon. I look up at it, I can see that the left-hand side is illuminated, the right-hand half is illuminated. So from our perspective, it looks like a half moon. And this half moon is called a third quarter. Okay. And then this portion here, I'm going to cover up the half that's pointed away. From Earth's perspective, I'm looking up and I'm seeing that the left-hand side is slightly illuminated, just a little bit illuminated, and most of the moon is dark on the right. So we're going to draw that from the left-hand side, slightly illuminated. It's mostly dark on the right. All right. This one is called a waning crescent. And so this cycle repeats itself over and over and over again as the moon continues to orbit the Earth in all of its positions. Okay, so you're going to continue to see it go from new moon. You're going to see the right-hand side illuminate just a little bit, and then over time, you're going to see it get larger, larger until it reaches a full moon, and then you're going to see it start waning, where it gets smaller, smaller, smaller until it reaches a new moon. Okay, I encourage you guys to make this model again, to try and fill it out on your own, including the inner portion, using the sticky note to rotate the paper, and then to check yourself with the model that we just made as a class.